Good evening. Welcome to the Westtown Board of Supervisors regular meeting for Monday, May 4th, 2026. The meeting is being recorded on Zoom and with a slight delay on YouTube. The township will accept public comments remotely via Zoom only. Remote participants are asked to remain muted except when speaking. During opportunities for public comment, the chair will first ask for public comment from in-person attendees. The chair will then ask for public comment from remote participants. If you would like to make a comment remotely, please raise your hand in Zoom and turn your camera on. When the chair calls on you, unmute yourself and state your name and address for the meeting minutes. Is anyone present tonight recording the meeting? Okay, let's call the meeting to order and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Prior to tonight's meeting, the board met in executive session to discuss legal and personnel matters. In the workshop, the board met to hear a proposal for a pollinator garden installation by the EAC and for a joint morning meeting with the Planning Commission to review the annual report and to discuss priorities for 2026 and to accept public comment. Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the Board of Supervisors meeting held on April 20th, 2026?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second?
Any comment from the board?
No.
No? All in favor?
Okay.
So first up, we have tonight our departmental reports. First to go is Public Works, Mr. Gross.
Hey, good evening. The road department, we've been picking up in business with these Pennsylvania one call requests. So we've got Pico doing quite a bit of underground replacement and also Aqua. It takes at least one of our guys the better half of one day to go out and mark all the utilities. This last month, we had 105 requests that we had to go to different locations to mark out. So that's a little strain on us, but hopefully that'll ease up. I know Pico has a large project in Plumley right now. We also had attended a mandatory stormwater training for our MS4 stormwater permit. Did quite a bit of work in the parks. We had assisted Eastside Little League hauling 20 yards of playing field infield mix up to their small field. They're trying to redo that and take some of the undulations out of it. We also worked with the Game Commission. They gave us a chimney swift tower. You'll see that on the hill behind the restroom at the athletic core of Oakbourne Park. That is supposedly going to attract chimney swifts that eat mosquitoes, and they nest in this thing that looks just like a chimney. So our guys poured a concrete pad and secured that in place. We also worked with the Friends of Oakbourne. That's a tremendous group. They are seeking plantings for just successional plantings of trees in the arboretum around Oakbourne Mansion. They secured 4 unique trees this year, and we planted them in the spring. I'm looking forward to doing some more in the fall. Speaking of trees, we also partnered. I was able to work a co-op deal with East Goshen Township and West Goshen, and we partnered doing a tree bid this year. East Goshen took care of it. It's kind of like what we do with our line painting and our salt and whatnot. And by doing so, we secured a contract. We have definitive pricing on trees. And my thought was, as we get into tree billing, sometimes the bills are getting above the bidding requirements or bumping close to it. So it'll give us another option as far as pricing goes. So that took effect last month. We also assisted the EAC with just sourcing some materials for a tree planting that seems like it went well. In the wastewater side of things, Pleasant Grove Pump Station is about a month behind right now of their second projected completion date. It's coming along. They've got all the concrete structures in, the manholes, the wet well. We are awaiting a delivery of a new transformer from Pico this week. And hopefully, once that's in place, then they have to come back out and energize the underground service. Once that is done, we will decommission the old station, go on a temporary bypass pump for about 2 weeks before they can hook up the new controls. So with all that said, they're looking for hopefully the end of June for a completion. So there's a lot of balls in the air with outside utilities. We still also have to get Pico to do the gas main install to run the standby generator. We had a unannounced DEP inspection at our treatment plant. That was one day last week, and the report came back that we were in 100% compliance. They found no issues. So I attribute to the workers down there. They keep things flowing. Coming up, future projects, we're going to concentrate on doing pruning and landscape bed prep. We've got quite a bit of that. We'll probably do about 150 yards of mulch between the two parks and the buildings that we have. So that'll keep the guys busy. So
Great.
that's all I have. If there's any questions.
Any questions for Mark?
No questions?
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Good. It's the way we like it, right, Mark?
That's right. Keep it going.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Next up, Planning Commission, Mr. Knob.
All right, good evening. Last planning commission meeting, we had 2 orders of business, one new and one old. We saw for a second time a Flagship Pennsylvania Propco who was trying to put in a spotless car wash in the old Rite Aid off of Route 3. And throughout our time with them and discussion, 2 things kind of came out. The planning commission dug into a little bit. One was noise concerns about like blowers and things like that and its impact on the neighbors around. They said they would look into it, but also they felt like it was no different than the traffic and noise from the traffic. So they didn't think noise would necessarily be a concern, but we wanted them to take a deeper look into it. The bigger concern from the planning commission side is traffic flow coming off of Route 3 and the other connector. Concerns about those connections coming in, but then also the internal flow, the way the diagrams are, concerns that there's insufficient queuing spaces. They're saying that they could handle easily 18 cars in the lanes of traffic plus then going into the car wash. And when we questioned them about about that, they said they did a comparison with 4 other places that they have that a maximum of 20 cars at the peak time, but most of the time it's around 12 or 13 cars at the busiest times, and that they felt like there'd be no problems. But that was also, we asked them to kind of consider looking at flow and how maybe they could rework some of the potential lanes and stuff that they're planning on doing. And then the old business, property at 919 and 923 South Concord Road. Mr. Travasani is seeking to try to change some lot lines to his 2 properties there. He was approached by the previous owner of the house that was next door for him to buy it. So he did. And now he wants to change the lot lines from the back of that property and make it part of his current property. And so he's proceeding with that. And we recommended approval to the lot line adjustment with compliance with consultants' reviews and some of the things that were brought to his attention. And it, so but we did approve it. So
Good.
And that was it.
Any questions?
No questions.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Next up, Historical Commission, Pat.
All right, last month it was very busy. Basically, some of the new agendas was we talked about applying for a mini grant through the Chester County Foundation, America 250. Part of that was possibly help us fund the Dare to Declare lecture on June 27th at 10 a.m. We're hoping to see if we can get some funding for that, as well as possibly another big thing was archiving. We now that we're trying to get a historic ordinance together, we wanted to sort of clean up our archiving, maybe even make it digital, because right now it's just in a couple boxes in the office. So we were thinking about maybe that could be another ask for a grant to make our archiving files more accessible and maybe even fire safe. Another thing was we're coming up on this history lecture at Oakbourne Mansion. We talked about maybe possibly having some tours through there, giving a lecture about the mansion. And one thing that we have offered the township, because we can't get access up to the second and third floor, was to do a laser scanning of Oakbourne Mansion and have that running during the time that we have this lecture, so people can actually see what it looks like upstairs without actually physically being up there. So that was another thing. And then preparation for Westtown Day. One thing we thought was to maybe have the Dare to Declare someone speak and read the Declaration of Independence at Westtown Day. And Mila brought up a good point about, you've got so many events going on, kids running around and things, and it would be hard to sort of focus people on that very element. So we decided to separate that out and maybe just have its own Dare to Declare event and not try to wrap that into Westtown Day. One thing that was very successful last year was the tours of the mansion. And one thing we didn't sort of highlight was the water tower. So there is a laser scan of the water tower already online. So we thought if we have the laser scanning of the Oakbourne Mansion and the water tower, we can run that in the large lecture room so people can see it. And then also we can have someone there talking about the wood tanks that are up there and talk about the gravity fed water. But having those laser scans will allow the same thing. People can see inside without actually having to physically be in the building.
Oh, neat.
So that was another sort of entity. Old business was America 250 activities. We have a list of certain things we're doing. Obviously, the history book. We've expanded our series on historic lectures to 5, all kind of in that same realm of America 250. We're talking about 2 township book club discussions, Dare to Declare, the Century Farm Marker at Hope's Park, and then having all the articles in the Westtown Gazette be focused on America 250. So that was kind of that aspect. The other big entity that was talked about was we reviewed the historic map and made deletions and corrections, and we highlighted that. So now we've got a formalized, finished list that has been updated according to all the historic structures in the township as requested by the board. So that has been updated and we forward that to Mila. So Mila has that in hand. The other thing was we had that joint board meeting with you guys and the Historic Commission where we talked about our top 5 goals of the year. And I won't rehash that. You guys know what that is. Also, the sort of our editor of the book, she's had some family issues and it's been delayed. So we're trying to rehash and get that back in because we do want to publish that book in time for Westtown Day. So we can actually have books ready to sell. So we're a bit delayed on that, but we're hoping to do that. We also had, the historic marker dedication ceremony at Shiloh. And that was very successful. It's actually even in the Daily Local News, and I think it was on the ABC News too, I believe. So we've got a lot of positive press with that, and that's one of the reasons why we did the Hope's Park or Hope's Farm, because it definitely brings a good side to Westtown Township, and shows that we honor history in this township. The other big success was we had a history lecture on colonial medicine. He did the lecture and they actually came as George Washington, and we had a lot of, I think this room was packed actually. I think we had a very large people here, and he did a phenomenal job. So he's been a huge asset to the Historic Commission. So
Great.
and then the other thing that kind of came in at the end was part of reviewing the historic ordinance map was getting what's the next step. And Mila mentioned sending it to the Chester County to review it. And it came up, I think Mr. Foster was at the meeting, and they brought up the fact that the board is requesting to send letters to all the property owners that are on this list and ask them if they want to opt in or opt out. We weren't aware of that, and so that was news to us. So the question was, have we done that on other ordinances, like the fence ordinance, the pool ordinance? Have we asked homeowners who have those entities on their property where they offered the same opt-out position? Could they have, like, I have a fence, was I allowed to opt out of the fence ordinance? I don't believe that I was, neither was if you own a pool, were you allowed to opt out of the pool ordinance? So I guess we just felt it was kind of shedding on risky waters when you sort of pass an ordinance and allow people to opt out. I don't know what Patrick feels about that, whether that's you're opening up you open up the box of, could people then argue, wait a minute, I want to opt out of the fence ordinance. Or I want to opt out of the pool ordinance. So I don't, that was kind of at the end of the meeting. So it was a surprise to us. That was a request. However, we would honor that request if you guys want to do that. We asked Mila if she would like us to draft the letter. We can certainly draft a letter and send it to the homeowners and ask that their position. It just was, if someone asked if Westtown School, because they have historic buildings, if they wanted to opt out, would the township then say, okay, well, we'll let Westtown School opt out? We didn't know what the full reasoning for asking homeowners whether they want to opt out or opt in. So that was a question. And then the other thing is knowing that the township is moving forward with rezoning the Darlington Inn. We were asked to scan that building, and Mila has requested a formal proposal sort of outlining the scope of work, who's going to be on the property, whether there's a liabilities insurance. I think I shared that with Mila. I don't know if you guys have a copy of that. I can give you a copy of that proposal if you'd like to have that now. This was the proposal both Darlington Inn and Oakland Mansion. Don't have that. And I think in the previous meeting, it was mentioned that the township was in the process of getting the Darlington Inn scanned. So this is just to sort of make sure that is expedited over the next couple of weeks. We're in position to survey that this week if necessary. So that was kind of in between the historic meeting and today. That's a new development. And then the other thing that we looked at was it was mentioned that going back to the comprehensive plan for Westtown Township, going back to 2019. And I printed out, actually, I copied it, and I'll give you copies of these. Some of the things that the comprehensive plan has mentioned, kind of talking about historic resources and historic buildings. And the Darlington Inn is actually even mentioned in the comprehensive plan. But one thing was establish regulatory provisions to discourage demolition and promote the preservation of historic buildings, structures, and landscapes through owner and developer initiatives. So that's where we kind of go back to the idea of, hey, maybe we can offer, if we are going to auction up the Darlington Inn, offer them some either tax abatement, facade easements, give them some incentive to preserve the building, knowing that, we're getting down that road where it may just get auctioned off. And then, I think this commission's fear is the property is worth more than the building. And so if there's no protection of the building, then if it's rezoned commercial, most likely that building will be torn down. Both. And I think the zoning hearing board agreed in that aspect. So I'll just hand you the copies. I highlighted the areas that kind of cover Darlington Inn and historic structures. And I think, and the other thing that we've shared with Mila is we have spoken to Kate Dowling. She's the facilities manager at Westtown Township or Westtown School. And several of the Historic Commission's members did go to the business manager's house. We toured the building, knowing that it's been slated for demolition, and the Historic Commission agreed with the board in that it's a great historic building, but there's, just because it's 100 years old doesn't mean it's something that has to be saved. And so we kind of suggested to Kate that there's several architectural elements of the building that could be salvaged. And she said, even with the lead paint, and we said, yes, we can salvage a lot of the historic fabric, interior doors, mantles, hardware, all that kind of stuff, and repurpose that for another, instead of just throwing it in the dumpster. So she thought that was a great idea. And she said she can't, some of the employees at Westtown School were actually thinking about doing that same thing, but because of the lead paint, she said that the school wouldn't allow it to give it to an employee. So, but she said with the Historic Commission, if we can get a contractor in and come and take those historic elements out, they would be willing to do that.
I do not believe Historical Commission is able to do that.
We're not going to do it personally.
Yeah.
All Kate asked was, is there, connect her to several contractors or parties who would be willing to do that.
So as a rule of thumb, Historical Commission shall not be advising on contractors.
Okay,
It's not the role of the commission.
okay.
It's a big liability for us to advise on who to hire for specific projects.
Perfect. Then, thank you. That's good reminder. And then also, as the new chairman, I did attend the Chester County Historic Preservation Network Conference last month, where all the historic commissions got together. And one thing that was very valuable was Callan Township. They have a historic overlay, where they just sort of designate an area of the township, and that's where the historic ordinance covers. They found that lacked a lot of meat because there was numerous buildings outside that overlay that were historic and were either being altered greatly or being demolished. They want to go more towards what our historic ordinance is kind of referring to, which is a list. And what they found out that having a historic ordinance actually promoted economic development. They cited an example of, there was historic buildings on one side of Lincoln Highway, and on the other side, there were going to be a warehouse building built across the street. And they encouraged the developer, hey, can you at least be respectful or contextual to the historic buildings across the street? And the developer actually did change the design of the building to use different materials that were historic to the buildings, and actually won a builder's award because of that change. And that was all directed by the Historic Commission. So that was a very informative and good thing. And everyone was in favor of, getting Westtown a historic ordinance because we don't have one. So that's about it.
Okay. Any questions for Pat?
No questions, but I believe that, I know Emil had asked you to send a proposal in for the laser skating, but it was definitely, we wanted to do Oakbourne. I mean, we've been talking about that for months now. So, I mean, that is the project that is front and center. So,
Well, what my understanding was, the agreement was to do the Oakbourne Mansion first and Darlington Inn second.
right, but let's do the first one first.
Well, the key is we need to get access to Oakbourne Mansion. And now that we're knowing that we're rezoning Darlington Inn, we feel that Darlington Inn is more, Oakbourne Mansion is owned by the township. It's not being developed. Zoning's not changing. However, the Darlington Inn, which is owned by the township, there's being consideration of rechanging the zoning, which we feel that is more pressing than Oakbourne Mansion. But we are gonna, if we get access to Oakbourne Mansion, we can do that this week. And if we get access to the Darlington Inn, we can do that next week.
Well, if your proposal meets Mila's requirements, let's do Oakbourne and see how that goes.
Well, I think, that's why we strictly wrote the proposal to do both buildings. The idea is, Darlington Inn is the building that's is being threatened. So we feel that it's more pressing to get the Darlington Inn done first, as opposed to the Oakbourne Mansion already has floor plans based off of their 2015 study where they were going to make it into a wedding venue. They were going to put an elevator in the back. So there is architectural drawings of Oakbourne Mansion.
Hmm.
However, there's no architectural drawings of the Darlington Inn. And now that we're talking about rezoning the Darlington Inn, we want to do that first to get that on the books.
Mhm. Well, we want you to do Oakbourne first. That's what we agreed months ago, and that's where we want to go. There is no, you're saying the Darlington is in danger. Nothing's happening there. We haven't even done the rezoning. We haven't even done any of the work that is necessary for resale. So nothing's going to be happening anytime soon.
Well, then let's do Oakbourne Mansion this week and let's do Darlington Inn next week.
Well, we'll
Well,
see.
we cannot do that. I have to figure out the timing, and based on proposal, I need staff, and it's 6 to 9 hours, and we have to empty some areas, so we do need some preparation.
So you're gonna have to coordinate with her. I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah, we can't agree to that, Pat.
Yeah.
But just coordinate with the office. Yes.
Yeah, and the 6 to 8 hours is in half because we can do the exterior first. And that takes the half the time, the interior
Okay.
takes the other half. So I can do that.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right.
Great.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Comprehensive update. Appreciate that.
Yep.
All right. Next up is Environmental Advisory Council. Joe?
Good evening once again. The EAC met on April 28th. And under old business, we discussed the 2026 speaker series. We did add another speaker to the 2026 speaker series. Her name's Teresa Avery. She's a Penn State Master Watershed Steward, and she's going to talk about the Watershed Friendly Certification Program. In fact, I think, Mr. Foster, I saw you there at one of her talks at Brandywine Red Clay Alliance about a year
Yes.
ago. So she's an excellent speaker, and she's willing to do this for no fee. So we're looking forward to booking her for that. I've given Mila a couple of, or at least one date that is tentative. Also, under old business, under the America 250 umbrella, we had our tree care workshop on April 19th. About 14, 15 people participated in that. Michael Schreiner from Schreiner Tree Care did an excellent job with the presentation. He had a great sense of humor. He was very knowledgeable, very good with the audience. A lot of good questions came out. Everybody walked away with a little baby red bud, bare root tree that one-on-one, and it was it was great. In fact, we're hoping that we get him back here on an annual basis, and I think he's willing to do that. The other thing under the America 250 umbrella is we had our tree planting on the 25th. I have to thank Mila, Public Works, Board of Supervisors, the staff. Staff did an unbelievable job promoting the event. I mean, it was like a full court press. I was very pleased that we got that much support. A little surprised we still only had about 14, 15 people there, but nevertheless, it was a great demonstration of support that the staff gave us. So thank you for that. As far as the tree planting goes, all but 2 trees are planted. I'm going to meet Mark there tomorrow to look at the area to make sure he's satisfied with the way we left it. And since we're already doing tree maintenance on the other trees down there at Pleasant Grove, we'll just keep that same pattern going for the trees that we just planted. Also under old business, we talked about the pollinator garden installation proposal. We reviewed that with the board at the workshop meeting tonight. Hopefully there's some grant opportunities for that. We also, under old business, talked about updating our webpage. There's several features that we're going to propose to change to enhance the experience for people when they hit our page. And we also talked under old business about West Town Day prep. Pretty much a tweak of last year's activities and nailing down the plan and who's doing what. Under new business, we talked about the Craybilly cleanup. That's still scheduled for May 17th. All is on track. And we also talked about community composting, just kind of dipped our toe into that. Going to be looking into that possibility fourth quarter 2026 and the first quarter 2027. Any questions for me?
No?
No questions. Thank you,
Thank you,
Joe.
Joe. Appreciate it. Next up, Township Solicitor, Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A number of notable things since my last report that we've been working on. Mila had the dubious distinction of having being subpoenaed in a non-township matter between two parties for records and some testimony about some building permits, 1445 Johnny's Way. So we are actually still negotiating with that on the dates, and we have counsel from our office will be assisting her with that. We had the TD Bank inquiry, the zoning lot consolidation inquiry that we assisted with, the Good Fellowship Agreement review. We prepared the ordinances, the advertisements for the comp plan and the map amendment that we had discussed. We reviewed an amendment to the financial security agreement for Starkweather Elementary, that land development that came through for approval. We prepared the repeal of the flex provisions, that ordinance, throughout zoning. And we continue to discuss and coordinate on the Mill Road litigation. And then also we began the first coordination and review with the former Rite Aid development that's come through the township. And that's about it.
Questions for Pat?
No questions. Thank you, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Finally, we have Township Manager, Mila.
Just a couple of items that we mentioned before. The township staff has been working on ordinance amendments, had to do with pipelines, planning commission role and responsibilities, and conservation design. We also working on emergency operations plan update and notification manual that comes with that. As you remember, it's a lot of trying to figure out who is the point of contact is for different services, and having participated last year in a pipeline exercise. There are some new ideas that now we have. We will be attending a workshop with the Chester County Department of Emergency Services next week to look over emergency operations plan. And I hope to have it on your agenda for the next meeting. So usually we do an update every 2 years, but this is a larger update because we are using a Chester County newly released template, and we actually working with the emergency services to make sure that it's actually a usable plan in case of emergency. I've been working on Crabbilly Preserve RFP. I've collected some comments from grant funders. I'm still waiting for Open Space Institute and Natural Lands to provide any comments back before RFP can be rolled out. I did receive a confirmation from the grant administrator that the township does not have to advertise RFP for 60 days if you receive minimum of 3 proposals. So if you receive 3 proposals within 30 days, you don't have to wait 60 days to actually interview and choose a consultant to lead the plan. We finished up PNGI receipt and some other administrative items that DCNR requires before we can continue moving forward with the RFP. The township office has been processing utility billing and tax bills. And unfortunately for us, last week, our cash machine, check machine was broken. So we had to wait for a new one. So our staff had to work overtime to process all the bills because they had to go in before end of April 30th. We also submitted a final report for ARPA and closeout report for ARPA, so that had been accepted. And we've been working on insurance-related closeout reports as well for our insurance. Also working on Growing Greener grant application for the stream restoration project. So Cedarville Engineering has submitted the project for permitting to DEP. We will be coordinating this week, meeting this week to discuss how to subdivide that project based on the cost estimates. And you would see it on your agenda before we submit an application for a grant application, which the announcements probably is not going to come in until the fall, and that would be for 2027 budget. I think that's about it.
Questions for Mila?
No questions. No
Great.
questions.
Thank you, Mila. Any public comment, non-agenda items? Public comment, non-agenda items? In-house audience online? No?
Neil, did you unmute yourself? Do you have a question? No?
No? Okay. Moving along, go to old business. First up is authorize advertisement for public hearing for ordinance amendments to Chapter 149 subdivision of land and Chapter 170 zoning of the Township Code related to flexible development procedure. The proposed are ordinance amendments to several sections of Chapter 149 subdivision of land of the Township Code, including Section 201, definitions, and Section 305, modification of requirements for flexible development. The main changes are: one, deletion of the term flexible development and its accompanying definition. Two, revision of the term application for development. And three, deletion of modification requirements for flexible development in its entirety. The proposed are also ordinance amendments to several sections of Chapter 170 zoning of the Township Code, including Section 201 definitions, Section 501 use regulations, Section 502 area and bulk regulations, Section 503 design standards, Section 601 use regulations, Section 602 area and bulk regulations, Section 603 design standards, Article 9 flexible development procedure, Section 1001 M-U multi-use district, Section 1519 standards for minimum tract and lot area, maximum density of tract usage, Section 1604 microwave antenna for satellite communication, Section 1617 conservation design, and Section 2106 zoning hearing board. The main changes in these provisions are: one, eliminates the flexible development framework; two, updates AC and R1 zoning district provisions, removing related area, bulk, design, and conditional use standards; three, removes flexible development as a permitted use in the M through M-U multi-use district; four, updates density and tract area standards and general regulations; five, deletes zoning hearing board provisions related to flexible development challenges; six, updates regulations for microwave antenna in residential areas; seven, revises conservation design requirements, including applicability thresholds and submission expectations. The Township Planning Commission reviewed the amendments and provided a favorable recommendation. The Chester County Planning Commission reviewed the amendments and provided its feedback. A review letter is enclosed in the materials. The public hearing to consider adoption of the ordinance is scheduled for June 1st, 2026. Do we have a motion?
A motion is in order to authorize advertisement of ordinance amendments for amendments to Chapter 146, subdivision of land, and to Chapter 170 zoning of the Township Code, rescinding provisions related to flexible development procedure.
Second.
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the in-house audience or the online audience? Hearing none?
Oh.
Yes? Okay.
Hi there, Tony Simkovich, 821 Kimberly Lane. Can you put a few more words around the flexible development plan? Is it being something that we're requesting, and how does the county get involved with that? Because it sounds like they gave us some feedback in the support documents.
Yeah, so the proposal is to not to have flexible development procedure, which is ultimately a conservation or cluster design. One of the suggestions that the county had was to replace it with similar regulation or with something similar to that extent. And the Planning Commission is working on a new template for the conservation design. So the existing provisions will be rescinded. but will be substituted with the future ordinance once the Planning Commission has recommendations for the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Sure. Any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Moving along to new business, consider 2026 road program for West Pleasant Grove Road contract award. Cedarville Engineering has reviewed the one bid received for the 2026 road program for West Pleasant Grove Road and recommends awarding the contract to this responsible bidder, T. Schieffer Contractors Incorporated, in the amount of $655,181. Do we have a motion?
A motion is in order to award the 2026 road maintenance program contract for West Pleasant Grove Road to T. Schieffer Contractors Incorporated in the amount of $655,181.
Second?
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the in-house audience or the online audience? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have consider professional services proposal for a 2026 road program for South Concord Road and Cider Knoll Road. Cedarville is proposing to coordinate bid administration and construction observation for the 2026 road program for South Concord Road and Cider Knoll Road at a cost of $72,352, which is $41,252 or 7.2% more than in 2024. The road maintenance program for 2025 has been deferred to 2026. Do we have a motion?
A motion is in order to approve Cedarville Engineering's professional services proposal for the 2026 road program for South Concord Road and Cider Knoll Road for $72,352.
Second?
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the in-house audience or the online audience? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Takes us to announcements. The Environmental Advisory Council has a vacancy. The township is seeking interested candidates for the appointment to the EAC. Residents with an interest in environmental issues and sustainability are encouraged to apply. As you heard tonight, they're doing a lot of great things. So if you want to be a part of that team, visit the EAC webpage or contact the township manager. Puzzlepalooza at the Oakbourne Mansion is on Thursday, May 7th at 6 p.m. Assemble your team of 2 to 4 people and race to complete a 500-piece jigsaw puzzle. That would take me 2 or 3 weeks to do that. If time expires before a team completes the puzzle, loose pieces will be counted to determine the winners. Bring your own snacks to fuel your puzzling. Teams may include people of all ages, but children must be supervised. $15 per team to play, registration required. Yard waste will occur, a collection will occur on Friday, May 8th. Yard waste must be in biodegradable paper bags or containers that can be dumped. Plastic bags are not accepted. Branches under 3 inches in diameter must be cut approximately 3 feet in length, bundled and tied, and placed at the curb by 6 a.m. on collection day. No rocks, logs, stumps, dirt, or ashes will be taken. The next yard waste collection is Friday, June 12th, 2026. Several events upcoming through Parks and Rec, including Story Time in Oakbourne Park on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Club Mahjong, I think I'm saying that right, Wednesday, May 13th at 10 a.m. Murder Mystery Hike on Wednesday, May 13th at 6 p.m. Birds and Brews, that sounds like a great time, Thursday, May 14th at 5:30 p.m. More information can be found about all these events on the township website. Greatest American Cleanup at Crayberry Preserve on Sunday, May 17th at 6:30 a.m. in celebration of our nation's 250th anniversary. Keep Chester County Beautiful. KCCB is spearheading a county-wide campaign that invites residents, volunteers, and local organizations to take part in the Greatest American Cleanup, a coordinated beautification effort tied to the America 250 celebration. The Westtown Environmental Advisory Council will lead this cleanup effort on roads surrounding the Crayberry Preserve. Meet at the Westminster Presbyterian Church parking lot, which is 10 West Pleasant Grove Road, to receive PPE and a safety review. That takes us to public comment, all topics. Any public comment tonight, either in-house or online? Hearing none, we move to payment of the bills. Do we have a motion?
A motion is in order to approve general fund bills in the amount of $93,243.52, open space fund bills of $231, Enterprise fund bills of $21,184.76 and PGPS Pliget capital project bills of $4,320.45 for a grand total of $118,979.73.
Second?
Any comments from the board? All in favor? Aye. We have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you for coming tonight.
Mark, is this,